In today's video, we're working on day 23, triangle twist. Only triangles, any size. Hi, I'm Jackie of Junk Gal 63 Studio, and here we do all things with scrap fabric. In her tutorial, she used a twisted triangle template and jelly rolls. I don't buy jelly rolls, so we're doing a Junk Gal twist on this one. I made my triangles 4.5 inches square. I used different fabrics for the small triangles and one consistent fabric for the larger or accent triangle. And of course, I used my perfectly slotted trimmer to make my 4.5 inch half square triangles. You can absolutely use a regular ruler. This tool just saves my hands and my patience. For each day in this challenge, a prompt helps us spark creativity. Anything goes. I do have a free prompt sheet for you to download. That link is in the description box below. All of our blocks are 12 inches square, and on the final day, we'll join them together in a quilt as you go style. And remember, no rules, no perfection. Let's get started. Here are the materials you need for this prompt. 24 pieces of 4.5 inch square fabric, all different. Now this is a personal preference. I just went with all different. 12 pieces of 4.5 inch by 8.25 inch fabric, all the same. Now there's probably a better measurement for all of these, but this is what worked for me when I was doing the test samples so that I could present it to you. So if you come up with a better measurement, please let us all know in the comments below. You'll need one piece of batting that's 12.5 inches square, a backing fabric, I'm using muslin, that's 12.5 inches square. I'm using my Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer, and I'm using the 1/2 inch size at 4.5 inches. Again, whatever ruler you have or however you make your half square triangles, feel free to use that. Just use whatever you have. You'll need an iron and your ironing surface and your basic sewing notions. All right, this is how I did it. As I stated, I just went through my scrap fabric pile and I found pieces of fabric that I could cut at 4.5 inches square. I sewed 2 of them together into pairs. So I put 2 together, and it doesn't matter how they go unless you have a preference. I pinned the side that I was going to sew, and I sewed a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Right sides together, off to the sewing machine. The 2 4.5 inch squares are sewed together. You'll do that 12 times to get 12 pieces. Just like that. And then go ahead and press that seam. Then you'll take your consistent fabric, lay that on top. I came up with 8.25, but it looks like some of the fabrics were a little shorter, but it'll be fine. You're going to sew these together, right sides together, just like that. Pin where you want to sew. 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm back from the sewing machine and I sewed a 1/4 inch seam allowance on here. I'm going to flip this over so that the open side is at the top and the seam is at the bottom. I will take my ruler to make my half square triangle, and it has a 4.5 inch mark, that dotted line. I'm going to put that right on the seam on the bottom. It also has a line down the center, right down the center. I'm going to put that on this seam that I sewed. right there. So line that up the best you can. Go to 4.5 on your ruler. So basically we want this in the center. Line it up, rotary cutter, and that's what I mean. There's got to be a different measurement, but we can still use these. We can use this for crumb quilting. Turn your mat if you're using a rotating mat. Slice down the other side. And then this has little slots to trim off the dog ears. We'll slice it. We'll slide it back this way and get this side. And we have our 4.5-inch half square triangle. I'm going to go to the iron and iron this open. And then it looks like this. 3 triangles, different sizes in one patch. Let's move all this out of the way. And then the fun begins. We get to lay out our blocks how we would like them. You can start this way and then maybe start this way, but then twist. You could do that. We're going to do a 9 patch, I think it is. Let's put it inside our 12 inches here. But however you want to put them, that's the fun of it. So maybe we only needed 9. Sorry, guys. So change that, okay? There we go. Yes, we only needed 9. So we would change the 24 squares to 18 squares of different fabrics and then 9 of your consistent fabric. I'm so sorry. So what you could do is save these for another block. You could switch out if you want something different. We have lots of options here. So we'll save those for another block. I kind of like this, these two, and then I think I'll put this triangle here. Kind of like that. What do you think? And then it's as easy as putting these two together and then these two together and these two and off to the sewing machine, and you'll just sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, now these are sewed together. I was never very good at math. I'm so sorry I got those wrong in the beginning. And now we want to bring these together, and we'll just clip those. And you just keep twisting them until you get them how you want them. Off to the sewing machine. And actually, after looking at it, I took this one and turned this around to make it a little more twisty. This one, I kind of wished I would have twisted a little more, but it's fine. I really love this. And all we need to do is put these together and sew those together. Just like that. We'll clip that. Off to the sewing machine. All right, we've got our bottom 2 rows done. And you know what? There's no rules that says that you couldn't do a different consistent fabric. What if you made all of those, all 9 of those, all different fabrics as well? That would be really fun. All right, off to the sewing machine. Okay, what do you think of our Scrappy triangle twist quilt block? I think it's really cute and there's so many possibilities. Let's grab a piece of batting. Put that on there. and a backing fabric. And I'm using muslin and right side down. And I'm off to the sewing machine to quilt this. I think it turned out fabulous. I'll meet you back here. All right, here we go. Our twisted triangle quilt block. Let's get this squared up and see how we did as far as measurements go. Let's see. If I go like that, we should be okay. Let's turn this around. Put it on the 12 mark. Not too shabby, you guys. So cute. And we have to clean up the back. We've got some thread action here. But yeah, I really love how this turned out. There's so many possibilities with this one. I do hope that you guys will give it a go. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a Bible verse and a final thought to encourage you. The Bible verse is from Isaiah 40, verse 31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. As you work through your triangles today, maybe you felt those small, steady moments of peace, the kind that settle in quietly, almost unnoticed. Renewal often comes that way. Not loud, not rushed, just gently unfolding as we pause and breathe. May the Lord meet you in those soft moments, giving you strength for today and hope for whatever you're walking through. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and commenting. It truly means the world to me. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And a very warm thank you to all of those who support my Gumroad shop and shop my affiliate links. Your kindness keeps this little scrappy studio stitching along. And until the next video, God bless you.